이번 세션은 기업의 지속적인 성장을 위한 전략으로서 기업의 사회적인 책임이라는 주제로 삼았습니다. 오늘 이 사회적 책임이라는 것이 세계적인 추세고 유엔에서도 헌장으로 만들 만큼 그리고 ISO 26000에서 전 세계 표준으로 만들 만큼 중요한 이슈로 되고 있습니다. 앞으로 아마 우리나라 기업들도 얼마만큼 사회적 책임을 잘 수행하느냐 여부가 그 기업의 성공 여부다 할 정도로 중요한 과제입니다. 이 시점에 저희들이 이 분야에 많은 연구를 해오시고 조명하신 세 분을 오늘 모셨습니다. 우선 발표하기 전에 연사분들을 간략하게 소개를 드립니다. 자세한 이력은 교재에 되어 있는 것을 참조해 주시기 바라고요. 타카 교수님입니다. 일본의 레이테쿠 교수님으로 계십니다. 인사할 때 큰 박수로 맞이해 주시기 바랍니다. 자, 타카 교수님 좀 인사를 해 주시죠.
Yes, start already? Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm so glad to be able to share my experience with all of you in this conference room.
네, 두 번째는 텐 교수님이신데 필리핀에 있는 Entrepreneur School of Asia에서 거기에 창립을 하시고 회장으로 계시는 분입니다. 텐 회장님 인사 좀 부탁드립니다.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy and I'm very honored to be here to speak to you, and I hope that I can share with you some of the experiences that I've had in the Philippines.
네, 감사합니다. 다음에 말씀해 주실 분은 연세대학의 김형철 교수님입니다. 전공이 철학이라서 본인은 교수가 아니고 필로소프라고 항상 강조를 하시는 분입니다. 김형철 교수님 인사 좀 부탁드립니다. 오늘 진행은 이렇게 하겠습니다. 내용에 따라서 약 15분에서 20분 정도의 발표를 하시고 세 분의 발표가 다 끝난 다음에 여러분들 질의와 토론을 한 30분간 하는 걸로 그렇게 진행을 하겠습니다. 애당초 2시간 하는 걸로 알려져서 이분들께서 꽤 많이 준비를 하셨는데 저희들이 급기야 조정을 했습니다. 총 시간이 약 80분 내지 90분이기 때문에 조금 압축해달라는 부탁을 드렸습니다. 자, 그럼 먼저 우리 타카 교수님의 프레젠테이션을 듣도록 하겠습니다.
Well, thank you, Chairman. I've been studying business ethics more than 20 years. So as I said, I'm so much honored to be able to share my experience in this field with all of you in this conference room. So this is an international conference. Probably I'm supposed to say something funny at the beginning, but time is just 20 minutes, so I have to skip over that part like other Japanese. So I'd like to show you framework my presentation, but it doesn't move. I'd like to touch upon 3 topics. Okay. Here we can see. I would like to touch upon 3 topics in my presentation. First of all, I would like to explain why CSR is required. Because there are a variety of ways to explain why CSR is required. But this is international conference, so therefore I would like to explain the reason in terms of globalization and WTO. And then after this, I would like to touch upon, maybe I should say, this is my understanding. The CSR covers at least 3 domains: legal compliance, and ethical practice, and social contribution. So therefore, as a second topic, I would like to share how those domains are related. And with this framework in mind, I would like to introduce you some of challenges taken by leading Japanese corporations in the past. What? Could you help me? I'm sorry. Yes, this one. Okay. The reason, fundamental reason why CSR is required is, I think, globalization itself. Because in my understanding, globalization is creation of brand new business arena where business corporation, especially operating worldwide, can enjoy an enormous amount of the freedom. So what I want to say is if we have a lot of freedom, eventually we have to take a social responsibility. The reason why we have a lot of freedom is we do not have a central world government to make and enforce same laws and regulations strictly to all players on the global scale. We do not have such institution. And also, developing countries have many laws, of course, regulations, but unfortunately, they do not have effective law enforcement systems. So therefore, I assume the corporations, global corporations, might simply enjoy regulatory void. So if those corporations are taking, this freedom for granted, if those corporations bring a negative impact to other countries, probably globalization itself will come to the dead end. So therefore, the globalization itself is a reason why SSR is required. This is a fundamental reason. And the second one is, as you know, a number of NGOs and developing countries are criticizing WTO and multinational corporations because they assume WTO is acting just as an agent of influential large corporations. So therefore, they're criticizing WTO and also multinational corporations. And the reason, there are a number of reasons. WTO created, a new framework, TRIPS, trade-related aspect of intellectual property rights, or general agreement on trade and services. I would like to skip over explanation of those frameworks, but NGOs are criticizing those frameworks because those frameworks, WTO frameworks, would not bring substantial benefit to developing countries. Probably, they say, they would work in favor of industrialized countries. So they suggest globalization backed by WTO will not help poor countries get out of desperate situations. So, academically speaking, now I got it. Yes. Academically speaking, I have to admit there isn't enough evidence on a relationship between globalization and poverty reduction. But most of us witness a very simple fact, that is, one way or another, globalization is reducing percentage of poverty. According to Professor Jeffrey Sachs, head of UN Millennium Project, 2 generations ago, half of our world population lived below poverty line, $1 income a day. About 1 generation ago, that proportion declined to 1/3. 1/3, and now it reached 1/6. So because of this, he's suggesting, even if globalization is causing problems, but steadily, surely, globalization has been reducing and solving the poverty issues. And also, in addition to this, he suggested if small percentage of GNP of industrialized countries is invested in basic infrastructure of poor country, and also the human resources development in poor countries, probably poverty issue will be solved within a couple of decades to come. So this program itself is prepared for the governments of industrialized countries, but I believe, corporations can make contributions somehow to, human resources and also the basic infrastructure of poor countries. So what I want to say is, in order to mitigate the criticism against WTO and multinational corporation business community, I think corporation has to take a social responsibility. This is a kind of practical reason why CSR, they have to take a CSR. Okay, with this reason in mind, I would like to proceed to the second topic. This shows domains of CSR and the relationship among three domains: legal compliance and ethical practice and the social contribution. I borrowed this framework from Lin Xiaoping, a professor of Harvard, with a little revision. I'd like to use this framework because it is very well considered. Look at the bottom of, sorry, it might be a little bit difficult to see. At the bottom of that box, on the left, it says justice. It means CSR covers issues of right or wrong, or fair or unfair. And on the other hand, on the right side, it says humanity. So it means CSR covers the issues of good for others, bad for others, harmful for others, helpful for others. And look at the left vertical line. At the lower level, it says basic. It means basic commitment organization to CSR. And the upper level, it says full. It means full commitment to CSR. So using these two axes, we eventually have a fourfold matrix diagram. And each box represents legal compliance, ethical practice, and social contribution. So look at the bottom on the left. That box represents legal compliance. The characteristic of this box is to comply letters of relevant laws and regulations. And the legal compliance is a very basic requirement for CSR, but it doesn't mean legal compliance is easy to achieve. On the contrary, legal compliance, I think, requires corporations to do a lot. But if corporations stay at this level with difficulty as excuse, probably this corporation will create unethical corporate culture where managers, employees are easily get involved in unethical or illegal business conduct. So therefore, especially when two conditions are met, high possibility for corporation to make a huge profit and a low possibility for regulator to find the wrongdoing. So when two conditions are met, this level, corporation at this level might involve in unethical or illegal business conduct. So therefore, they have to go up to the, phase two box or go right to the, phase two box. Upper box on the left represent ethical practice. The characteristic of this box is to comply not only letters but also spirit of the laws and regulations. Corporations at this level take into account the purposes the law aim to achieve and put them into practice. And also, the bottom box on the right also represents the ethical practice. The characteristics of this box is to reduce negative impact as much as possible. And the last one, upper box on the right. It represents social contribution. Characteristic of this box is to increase a positive impact as much as possible. For example, promote human dignity or invent environmentally friendly technologies and so on. Okay, with this framework in mind, let's go to the last topic. Okay, according to that framework, I have to talk about the challenges at the level of legal compliance, but in order to save time and also challenges to meet the legal requirement is basically, compulsory or obligatory. So I would like to skip over that level of challenges. So I would like to see the challenges at the level of ethical practice and also at the level of social contribution. So when it comes to ethical practice, I think we had better look at least the following 6 activities. The first one is making codes of conduct. Of course, I think most of Korean corporations have already made a code of conduct. But what I'm going to talk is the point, what point the Japanese corporations are placing emphasis on when they make or when they revise codes of conduct lately. And secondly, implementation plans. And the third, commitment, clarifying TOPS commitment. And fourth, establishing CSR-related sections. And also ethics training. And the last one is ethics helpline. So what the Japanese corporations are lately doing is, of course, most of large corporations, listed large corporations, have already adopted codes of conduct. But what I'm doing lately is they realized it might be too late, but they realized just making codes of conduct at a higher level of corporate hierarchy and distribute them to managers, employees, will not change the corporation and corporate culture. So what they're doing is try to reflect opinions or ideas of employees on the revising codes of conduct. And by doing so, they try to make a user-friendly codes of conduct, and also they try to raise employees' awareness, ethical awareness, and a sense of participation. And also, they are now making implementation plans. Just making codes of conduct is not enough. They are now making implementation plans. Every 2 or 3 years, they're making. When they make implementation plans, they follow 3 steps. The first of all, risk up as many risks as possible. By risk, I mean infringement, mainly infringement risk of relevant laws and regulations. List up many risks. And then after this, prioritize them in terms of urgency, in terms of probability to occur, or in terms of size of impact on corporation and its stakeholders. And after prioritize those risks, then pick from the top, pick 5 or 10 or 20 risks, then they will make implementation plans so as to control those risks, so as to prevent those risks from becoming real problems. So now they're making the implementation plans. And then this is also very important. They have come to realize, no matter how beautiful things they say in front of managers and employees, if they make inadequate decision on how to respond to ethical issues, the employees or managers are easily misunderstand that top management's real motive must be different from formerly professed positions. So they are likely to follow the seemingly real motive. Otherwise, they will become very cynical about CEO and become skeptical. All systems introduced under the name of CSR. So therefore now top management are paying a special attention to their decisions and their conduct. And also, fourth activity is somehow related to top's commitment. Top management is also paying a special attention to establishment of CSR-related sections, because employees or managers are watching personal assignment to CSR or resource allocation to CSR. I mean, if top assigned reliable, very reliable, trustworthy staff to CSR section, if top allocate enough authority or resources or budget to CSR section, almost intuitively, managers, employees, and other sections will take CSR very seriously. But if top makes mistakes about personal assignment and resource allocation, maybe their effort will be end up with in vain. Okay. And teaching and training, ethics training, they used to give just a general assignments to managers and employees, but they realized that it's not effective enough. So therefore, they are now, what shall I say, making a variety of ethics training programs from job to job or from section to section. The risks is different. For example, some section of printing company might get information of capital increase of the listed corporations. So in this case, the special ethics training program focusing on insider trading should be given to those sections or workers working at those sections, right? So same ethics training program should not be given to other jobs or other sections like salesperson at a supermarket. I heard this. I don't know how it is true here in Korea, but I often heard in Japan at the supermarket, on the register counter, there is a donation box. And people, when people don't want to keep that money, they put that money in the donation box. Sometimes salesperson at the supermarket take that money out of the donation box when register machine, money in the register machine is short, and picking the money out of that box and put it in the register machine in order to make account balance. So if, this is not a serious issue, but if a supermarket think this risk should be controlled, then they have to make its own ethics training programs. So what Japanese corporations doing now regarding ethics training is like this. And the last one is ethics helpline. I believe most of Korean companies have already introduced ethics helpline, but what the Japanese corporations are doing is they're now introducing third-party channels like independent lawyers and third-party service providers. By third-party service provider, I mean internet service provider. What they're doing is checking the employees of the contracted company, whether or not they are real employees of the contracted company, and giving the security of anonymity to this reporter. And when a corporation wanted to have a contact with this reporter, this service provider make it possible for a corporation to have a contact with this reporter, hiding email address of this reporter. Okay, last one. Social contribution. Maybe I'd like to show you just the two of them. At the first part of my presentation, I referred to poverty redaction. So I'd like to introduce you one of the challenge in this field. Mitsui and Company, this corporation has been giving a library to very poor villages to be conquered. In Thailand, they selected the top poorest 10 elementary school. They selected most disadvantaged elementary schools, and then visited all 10 schools and had an interview with the teachers in order to identify the real need of a library. And based upon that understanding, they have been donating a library which is suitable for each of the elementary school, believing reading will produce talented and promising leaders for this country. So they're doing this kind of challenge. And the last one is Sumitomo Group for corporations. Sumitomo Chemical, Sumitomo Trust, and Sumitomo Life Insurance, MSIG, Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance Group. They, with the help of World Vision, this NGO is very active in this field. So with the help of World Vision, those corporations have been constructing an elementary school equipped with dining hall and teachers' accommodations in sub-Saharan countries now, I think Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda, and Zambia. So I believe those challenges will not change rapidly, but it takes time, but they will contribute, the poverty prevention. So maybe I spent more than 20 minutes, so I have to stop here. Thank you so much.
예, 타카 교수님 대단히 감사합니다. 일본의 경우를 들어서 기업의 사회적 책임을 크게 법적인 측면과 윤리적인 측면 그리고 사회 공헌적인 측면의 영역을 나누었는데 일본에서 두 윤리적인 프랙티스와 사회 공헌을 실제로 어떻게 하고 있느냐 하는 걸 일본 기업의 사례로 발표를 해 주셨습니다. 이제는 두 번째는 기업가 정신과 기업의 사회적 책임이라는 내용으로 템 교수님께서 말씀을 해 주시겠습니다. Chairman Tim.
Due to a lack of time that we have, I asked my partner to just do the slides for me. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to tell you that, just want to start off with a little story that I have. When I was young, a high school student studying in Manila, I heard this particular story which now comes to mind as I stand before you today. There was once a ruler who approached a wise man one day. He fell on his knees in respect and asked, "Good teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" The teacher replied, "If you want to attain eternal life, obey the rules passed down from generations past." "Which ones?" the man inquired. The teacher then rattles off a few. "Okay, let me recall. Don't steal, don't fool around with some person's spouse, don't defraud others, do not murder, and honor your parents even if they are too old to remember your name, and even they wet their pants." Proudly the young ruler exclaimed, and he had kept all these rules strictly and faithfully since he was a young boy, unlike other royals who acted like brats mostly. I suppose murder or cheating with someone else's wife wasn't common in those days, for a child that is. But kidding aside, the teacher knew the man and acknowledged his statement. In short, the ruler was not merely making some official boast. But one thing you lack, the wise man quickly added. Go sell your possession and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. At this, the man's face fell lower than your favorite stock taking nosedive in the trading floor. He went away sad because he had great wealth. The wise man then commented to his companions, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to enter the kingdom of God." Ladies and gentlemen, 2,000 years ago, Christianity's central figure was already teaching us about the concept of corporate social responsibility. Not surprisingly, the absence of that particular characteristics in the moneyed class, corporate social responsibility still afflicts many business people and the rich to this very day. What is corporate social responsibility, and why is it important that we practice this? From the concept emanating from the scripture, I now quote a modern-day definition of corporate social responsibility, or CSR, from the Internet Wikipedia. It defines CSR as a concept whereby organizations consider the interests of society by taking responsibility for the impact of their activities on customers, employees, shareholders, communities, and the environment in all aspects of their operations. This obligation is seen to extend beyond the statutory obligation to comply with legislation and sees organizations voluntarily taking further steps to improve the quality of life for employees and their families, as well as for the local community and society at large. When applied to entrepreneurs who take CSR even a step further, this concept of broad and proactive CSR loosely translates to social entrepreneurship, wherein, simply put, the benefit to the community and society rather than profit is the primary consideration. For generations, entrepreneurs were known as profit-oriented individuals who were only concerned with self-gain. However, social entrepreneurship has changed that perception. Society has realized that there are few entrepreneurs who want dual objectives, profits and social contribution. I myself has transitioned from the traditional entrepreneur to a more social entrepreneur. So please allow me to share with you my own story of transition by walking down memory lane. My father, Lucitan, was born to a poor, struggling family as a young boy, and as a young boy, he moved from Fujian, China to Philippines with his parents. With hard work, a clear vision, and an entrepreneurial drive, he is now one of the most accomplished businessmen in the Philippines, running some of the largest companies in banking, manufacturing, airlines, and retailing. Similar to most second generations of overseas Chinese entrepreneurs, I was sent to the West for my studies. Here I was expected to understand the culture of the West and learn from their best practices so that I can apply it to our business when I come back home. And so my journey of personal exploration started when I studied computer science and mathematics in the US, where after graduating I immersed myself working in the booming IT industry. Not content, after a few years I studied fashion design and started business in fashion industry. I was fortunate to experience life outside the comfort of my family business. Such experience gave me a chance to grow and gain self-confidence. Unexpectedly, my family called and requested that I come back home because my father had just acquired Philippine Airlines and it needed to be turned around. I was hesitant, but I know deep in my heart that it was time to go back home. I sold my business, packed my bags, returned to the Philippines. I had lived in the United States from the time I was 17. I returned to my home country, or rather the return to my home country was the start of a new chapter in my life. My country is a paradox common to most developing countries. Despite the ultra-modern business district, high-end residential areas, and luxury beach resorts that the Philippines is known for, there exists the other side, the multitude of street children begging, symbolizing the great divide between the rich and the poor in my country. 10 years in the US kept me from seeing the realities of the third world country like ours. 40% of population lived below $2 a day. Outside the business district and major areas, 30% of Metro Manila was covered with shanties and slums. To those who have more is expected, as the saying goes. I believe that those who are in position to to significantly affect the lives of others have more responsibility to create positive change. At that point, I wondered, what could I do to help? My father directly and indirectly employs about 500,000 people. Imagine if an entrepreneur like my father could be multiplied by tenfold. It dawned on me that entrepreneurship could indeed be our country's engine of growth. It's a simple formula. More entrepreneurs means more job, more investments leading all in all to a better economy. But where will we find the new generation of entrepreneurs? Will they be confined to the children of today's successful entrepreneurs? I do not believe that entrepreneurship is a monopoly of a few who are born entrepreneurs. Rather, I believe that entrepreneurship can indeed be taught to ordinary people and propagate like a crash crop, carefully cultivated. With absolute clarity back then, I realized I could have a more meaningful life if I would be in the field of education. All the existing academic institutions at that time were set up to develop employable individuals. I wanted to start a school, a new type of school, a college that would develop job makers instead of job seekers. Our entry to the education industry was met with both awe and cynicism in 1998. Some leaders in the industry were amused that such a team composed of entrepreneurs and professionals barely in their 30s would take an interest in setting up a college. I was fortunate to have been able to assemble a team who shared the same vision and determination to innovate and make a difference through education. After successfully entering the education industry, we set ourselves to launch Asia's first college focused entirely on entrepreneurship. Our college is called the Entrepreneurs School of Asia, or ESA. It is a school created by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. The uniqueness of our school is that our students will only be able to graduate with a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship if they have successfully set up and ran a business enterprise for at least a year. Therefore, while still studying in ESA, each one of our students already contributes to the growth of our economy. And these are students mostly under 20 to 21 years of age. I take pride in knowing that our graduates don't get jobs. Instead, they create jobs. However, more than just launching an academic institution, we also helped launch the entrepreneurship movement in the Philippines. Together with other top entrepreneurs, we launched the Philippine Center for Entrepreneurship with its battle cry of Go Negosyo, meaning go into business. The movement, together with my school, is now spearheading the entrepreneurship advocacy in the whole country. More than the promotion of the entrepreneurship education, I believe that ESA has been our group's vehicle in proving that entrepreneurship is a powerful tool to fight poverty. Our institution's motto is Entrepreneurs for Society. We envision our school to be the training ground of new generation of business leaders who are not focused on maximizing profits, but want to contribute to the betterment of society. In the pursuit to develop a new order of socially responsible entrepreneurs, our school curriculum allows the students to participate in programs that include helping out the environment and doing social development work. We also believe that an institution, the positive impact can go beyond molding people who can create jobs and become responsible entrepreneurs for society themselves. We concluded that we did not have to, nor should have to, wait for our students to graduate and for their numbers to grow before we can make positive contribution to the society. An integral part of the ESA curriculum is requiring students to participate in and implement various programs and solve social problems like poverty or address environmental issues like the destruction of marine resources. It allows our students to understand it and the need for socially responsible entrepreneurs, not just in theory, but perhaps more importantly, to be able to do something about it already, even at their young age. All these are part of school social entrepreneurship experience. We call it C program. These complete the circle in our own students' education and formation. So allow me to share with you what we do with some of these programs. Okay, maybe I'll just show you later on. Okay. On the aspect of social development, our school has decided to concentrate on micro-entrepreneur segment. The Philippines has millions of micro-entrepreneurs. They mainly consist of urban poor who are self-employed and live on a day-to-day, hand-to-mouth basis. What they eat depends on what they sell for the day. Our government has tried in the past to provide loans to these micro-entrepreneurs. The problem is that the loans have not been used productively because these micro-entrepreneurs have very little business skills. In 2005, ESA started a special program with the city government where the school provided free training to micro-entrepreneurs. Our students acted as business consultants and mentors to participants in the training. Workshops on basic marketing and accounting are provided to micro-entrepreneurs, many of whom did not complete high school. At the end, the training program, the participants are required to present to a panel a proposal on how to improve their business to be successful, for it has helped our micro-entrepreneurs develop business and survival skills. And in return, it has helped instill the values of social responsibility in our students. All international participants have expressed that C program was a life-changing experience for them as business students. For the environment, our school's focus has been helping rebuild the marine resources of our country. The Philippines has over 7,000 islands and has a vast marine resources that have been adjudged among the best in the world. However, poverty has forced many fishermen in the past to resort to detrimental and destructive practices, including dynamite fishing. This has destroyed many of our coral reef resources, resulting in the depletion of fish supplies. Our school has a program that has helped repair the coral reefs in some parts of our country by laying pyramids of artificial coral reefs. And so let me show you, I hope the video now is working, on coral reef project that we did. These are our student divers who went into the, under the sea and started to put blocks on top of each other, forming a pyramid. The blocks are actually made out of corals as well, dried corals. In the video, you saw that they're building the first coral. Now when you go down there, there are 11 corals. Sorry, pyramid, rather. From a devastated coral reef, we are proud to announce that our projects brought livelihood back to the poor fishermen because with the repair of the coral reef, the fish all came back. After setting an example of social entrepreneurship advocacy in the university level, our institution has now set its sights in promoting responsible entrepreneurship in the high school level. Once again, we wanted to inculcate among the youth that entrepreneurship is a powerful tool to fight poverty. Working for the benefit of the Philippines' biggest NGO for anti-poverty called Gawad Kalinga, the Entrepreneur School of Asia trained 200 high school students on entrepreneurship. This project was called the Teampreneur Challenge. These students from 20 different high schools were given the task to help improve the livelihood product of each Gawad Kalinga communities. Each high school team was supported by ESA student and a successful entrepreneur who acted as their mentors. After 2 months, these improved products were sold. All the sales proceeds benefits went to Gawad Kalinga communities. And even our president, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, was present to grace the event. To ensure that more young people get inspired by the project, we produced a TV miniseries for Teampreneur. To give you an idea of programs, and I hope this time it works, the impact, both students and GK communities, they would be talking about their testimony and their experiences when we were doing the whole video. I guess it's kind of hard to translate the Manila sound to Korean sound. Sorry about that.
dito. So nung makita nilang medyo alanganin yung pagbibenta kasi nga naman kung puro mga family ang bibili, hindi masyadong mapagtuunan ng pansin. Hindi kagaya nung mga ibinigay nilang mga sample, kagaya ng mga accessories, sabi nila sa akin, gumawa daw ako ng accessories at ito yung hanggang sa mga students, pwede nilang ibenta. Between the community and the high schools. I would like to honor the high schools that naging perseverance sila to push really hard to produce and to come up with an innovative product for the communities.
The Teenpreneur Challenge has been so successful that even the president is asking us to do it again, so maybe we'll be launching it nationwide. To continue, one of the most successful outcomes of the project is that the youth participants felt that they could make a big difference in fighting poverty using their entrepreneurial skills. As early as high school, as you can see how they talk, these students were already able to experience having contributed positively excuse me, to society, and this has inspired them to do more as they move forward in their lives. Excuse me. Moving forward, I hope to influence the other schools and institutions with our brand of entrepreneurship, socially responsible entrepreneurship, or more commonly known as social entrepreneurship. We have brought out our advocacy of social entrepreneurship beyond the Philippines. Together with Oxford University and Zhejiang University, ESA organized the region's first international forum on social entrepreneurship in Hangzhou, China last March 2007. I belong to a second generation of entrepreneurs and a second wave of young leaders of business. I'm proud to say that I am here not only because I adopted a style or formula that proved successful to my father's generation, but by leveraging the skills and virtues of my own experiences as a new Asian woman with a synergy of Western and the Eastern value. I am establishing a different path for my future. Running an institution that develops future social entrepreneurs has become my passion. The world has seen the positive impact of one social entrepreneur such as the 2000 Nobel Prize winner Muhammad Yunus, the founder of Grameen Bank, one of the world's pioneers in micro-lending. Imagine the possibilities of a new generation of business leaders believing in values of social entrepreneurship. We can then truly make the world a better place. I've really just begun my work as social entrepreneur, and already it provides a fulfillment that is really hard to describe. In the end, there's no greater feeling in life than to know that you are, or you can be yourself, and still be a part of a group that engage in cause that is greater than yourself. As a famous saying by the human rights activist Eleanor Society said, anything worth doing cannot be done alone. So my fervent wish for you, my fellow business people today, and for everyone else who are here in this room today, is that you may find the cause that engulfs your entire being, and you may find others who share the same passion with you. When one who is blessed with wealth and riches is able to utilize these blessings for the profit of not only oneself, but the entire community, that for me is helping to bring to others the treasure of heaven, as promised by the good teacher 2,000 years ago. Thank you.
탄 회장님 감사합니다. 본인의 사업 경험을 바탕으로 필리핀에서 기업가 정신을 함양하는 것이 기업의 사회적 책임을 수행하는 데 매우 중요하다는 생각을 가지고 젊은 청년들에게 기업가 정신을 교육시키는 그런 사업을 구체적으로 생생하게 설명을 해 주셨습니다. 그래서 결국은 일자리를 창출하고 빈곤을 퇴치하고 그리고 사회적 발전과 환경 보존을 하는 이런 정신을 어려서부터 심어서 그들이 컸을 때 기업 차원에서도 사회적 책임을 잘 수행할 수 있을 것이라는 그런 말씀이셨습니다. 이제는 마지막으로 연세대학의 김형철 교수님이 한국에서의 기업의 사회적 책임이라는 주제로 말씀을 해주겠습니다. 김 교수님한테 좀 죄송한데요. 외국 손님한테는 좀 심하게 할 수 없고 시간을 제가 좀 사회자치권으로 잘라야 되겠어요. 그래서 한 10분 내로 김 교수님 좀 해주시기 부탁드립니다.
When I first started to teach business ethics at the business school in Korea, most of my students are interested in the concept maximization of profit. They tend to believe that the maximization of profit is everything for a business person, and there are some kind of communication gap between me and those business students. Well, I decided to take the quite shocking therapy to enlighten their mind from philosophical point of view. So I said, business should never maximize profit. Business is supposed to contribute values to the society. If some companies fail to contribute or create values for the sake of society, what reason do we have to support that company? If the company loses the support from the customer and community and the surrounding stakeholders, that particular company, no matter how many financial resources they might have, I don't think will last long. The purpose of business should be clearly set. As a responsible corporate citizen is to promote benefit for themselves, for community, and customers. That's why I think that the CSR should be win, win, and win. Most of business people tend to think that win-win, following the Pareto principle, is good enough. But I think it's not good enough. It should accomplish good performance for the society. So since I was given only 10 minutes, I will try to do my best to meet that deadline. I can safely skip introduction, skip since so many people are talking about the concept of CS. Well, briefly I will say that, if we take a look at the history of CSR in Korea in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, the companies tend to think that the CSR is not voluntary, but something forced, which is, I think, a tragedy. What is CSR? There are several definitions, but you can read it from my, I can read the final one. CSR is a commitment to improve community well-being through discretionary business practices and contributions of corporate resources, by Philip Kotler. Doesn't seem to work quite well. Okay. Why CSR is important? There is a certain benefit to the firm, increase the sales and market share, strengthen the brand positioning, enhance the corporate image, better employee morale, decrease the operating cost. Philosopher sounds like a business professor by using this term, but benefits to society, increase the awareness and concern, increase the participation in cause, support for fundraising, professional knowledge and expertise. And Philip Kotler classified the CSR into 6 categories. The first one is cause promotion, 2, cause-related marketing, 3, corporate social marketing, 4, corporate philanthropy, 5, community volunteering, 6, socially responsible business practices. And as I researched the CSR in Korean companies, interesting thing found is that the Korean companies are concentrated on the letter 3, which is number 4, 5, and 6. And they have done relatively poor in the first 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to tell you why that's the case. Why this one doesn't? Okay. Cause promotion, supporting social causes through promotional sponsorship. Cause-related marketing, make a contribution or donating a percentage of revenues to a specific cause based on product sales or usage. Number 3, corporate social marketing, supporting behavior change campaigns. Corporate philanthropy, making direct contribution to a charity or cause. Number 5, community volunteering, providing volunteer services in the community. Number 6, socially responsible business practices, adopting discretionary business practices and investment that support social causes. Well, as I told you that the Korean companies have a tendency to focus on Group B and relatively ignoring the Group A. And I'm going to tell you what's the characteristic of Group B. The activity of the Group B is easily forgotten. General public doesn't have a keen relationship, doesn't understand the keen relationship between the CSR and company's brand. Number 2, it's difficult to measure the value created by that business activity. These are 2 shortcomings, but the number 3, no promotion cost. It's relatively easy to promote. No need for professional help. In order to fulfill the CSR, company needs the help from the professional, but in the latter category, there is a relatively no need for professional help. So no need for collaboration with professional experts. Greater emphasis on firm benefits rather than the community or societal benefits. Hard to gain public attention. Fewer potential problems. Relatively easy to execute. Difficult to achieve marketing goals. I think that these are the characteristics. And why do they concentrate on the Group B rather than Group A is there is some cognitive misunderstanding as well as systematic shortcomings. Korean companies tend to think that the CSR is a sort of compensating for wrongdoing they have done, which is very tragedy. They also think that the CSR is some sort of a cost rather than investment. And that's why when the economic performance getting poor, they tend to cut the CSR budget first because it is cost. In order to survive, they need to reduce the cost. So they need to change their mind. Number 3, they tend to think that CSR is a one-time event 전시 행정, window dressing, 생색내기, that sort of things. Number 4, they tend to think the CSR is some place to hide the slush funds. Systematic shortcomings. Why the Korean companies doesn't have much performance in the area of CSR? First, lack of incentives among the employees who are in charge of CSR within the firm. Number 2, lack of integration with marketing. Marketing to sell the brand is completely separated from the CSR department. They tend to have a loose connection, if there is any, between the two. Number 3, lack of creative approaches by companies. I think that on this part, the Korean government is responsible partly for this, because Korean governments have a strong tendency to have a heavy hand on companies' activities, including CSR activities. So companies tend to look at the government regulations or government guideline and so on. So there are lack of creative approaches. Absence of a CSR team. Of course, in the big corporation, there are dedicated CSR team, but in many other companies, they don't have any independent department for CSR. Even if they have, often the employees in that department have double duty with other things to take care of. So they tend to think that, well, I hate CSR. Why should I do this? It doesn't have anything to do with my promotion within the company rank. In order to solve these problems, I think that the Korean companies should realize that the 5 C's, conviction, commitment, communication, consistency, credibility, these are the Chiquita companies' 5 C's when they successfully execute CSR. Well, I strongly believe, in order to be successful in implementing CSR, company should realize they have to approach the matter from strategic point of view. But strategy is only method. Method, effective way of implementing the goal. And the CSR should start with the right kind of goal. If the goal is setting wrong, then everything else is gone wrong. Needless to say, you have witnessed many fiasco in Korean companies in dealing with the CSR. In recent event, the 2 representative Korean companies donated a tremendous amount of money to the society in the form of CSR, but many general publics are skeptical about the genuine motive of their donation to the society. And I think that is the strategic mistake. Because the goal of CSR in the very first place was not properly established. So, despite all this criticism, I believe that the Korean company will do quite well in the near future, because there is a strong motivation among some responsible business person, and also that they start to understand the very nature of CSR from a global point of view. So I have a high expectation on Korean companies' performance in CSR. Thank you.
네, 감사합니다. 김 교수님께서는 한국의 CSR의 문제점과 그 전략적인 해결 방안에 대한 제안을 해주셨습니다. 자, 이렇게 해서 세 분의 기조 발표가 다 끝났는데요. 이제는 혹 여러분들의 질문이나 코멘트 받는 시간을 갖겠습니다. 플로어에서 질문 있으신 분은 손을 들어주시고, 예. 저기 준비되어 있나요? 저 중간에? 저기 제일 먼저 되셨거든요. 우리 숙녀분.
Thank you very much. My name is Young-Kim and I'm working for Expert Consulting. Thank you all for good presentations. And I'd like to ask to Ms. Executive Vivienne Tan that I think your work is very impressive and even it's beautiful. And I'd like to ask you, what kind of hardships did you face? 1, 2, 3, and then the way you overcome that hardships. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for,
먼저 대답하시죠. 예.
well, thank you for the comment. But, well, there are a lot of stumbling blocks when I first started the school. First, it's a very non-traditional college, and it's a school entirely dedicated to entrepreneurship, and it's unheard of in the Philippines. And how we do it is our teaching is more an applied method than theoretical. So we mix the experiences and the theories together. And few of the when you're starting a project, let's say the teampreneur, it is something that is intangible at that point, and something that you cannot see yet, and it's something that is very difficult to describe and to make others believe that it can happen. So when working with the largest NGO, for example, these people have also certain issues that they are also dealing with in terms of their own their current status of not having the jobs or even the confidence level and all these stuff. So you're dealing with multiple issues, but then in the end, when you're able to make people believe in or at least give people hope and inspiration and make them believe that some dreams are really possible and it can happen, they will try to accommodate it. And when we were able to pull Teampreneur, which is bringing the entrepreneurship to the high school level, it was pretty successful. And that's only one of the programs that we've done.
예, 감사합니다. 다른 분. 예, 저기 앞에 앉아 계신 분. 그 다음에 빨간 옷 입으신 분이 하시죠. 예, 죄송합니다.
Hello. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mr. Kowit. I'm from Thailand. My question can be answered by any presenter. The point is, the multinational corporation nowadays, they're already outsourcing some parts of the production to the small enterprises. So even though the big company, they might have a corporate citizen, good citizen, but how can you control the small enterprise to which the big company already contract out? That's my question. Thank you.
Is that question to me or to everybody? Is there anybody who wants that question? Will you?
I don't get the question. How can we, yes, could you be specific?
How can we manage?
Specific on that? For the small business,
Yes.
in case of Japan, how small business will the corporate social responsibility?
So your question is how small corporation can fulfill social responsibility? It might be very difficult, but I think the size is irrelevant because most of the corporation has to take a social responsibility. This is my understanding. Let me raise one question. Do you think if a property you own affect someone, especially in a negative way, do you think we have to take a responsibility, social responsibility for influences over others? Simply put, ownership. Do you think ownership is necessary followed by social responsibility? I think the ownership and social responsibilities are two sides of the same coin. For example, the property you own, cause damage on somebody, probably you have to take a legal responsibility, right? And also, if you want to keep, that kind of, property, probably you have to pay due care. You have to manage the property very safely, carefully, right? You have to take a managerial responsibility. And also, you have to have maybe accountability. You have to take a responsibility to explain how safely you are managing your property to the people who might be affected by that property. And lastly, to begin with, if you want to keep that kind of property, first of all, you yourself should be a reliable or trustworthy person. In order to make yourself to be trustworthy, probably you have to make some contribution to neighborhood or other people like this. So probably you can agree with my explanation, right? But how about owning corporations? Corporation will affect a number of people. So you're now shareholders, you're owning a corporation, so do you think you have to take, if corporation causes damage on somebody, a shareholder has to take legal responsibility to compensate the damages on other person? And also you have to take a managerial responsibility to manage the corporation carefully, safely? Or do you think you have to take accountability, responsibility to explain how carefully you are managing corporation in order to prevent damage from occurring? And then lastly, to begin with, probably if you want to keep that kind of property, corporation, you have to be a trustworthy person. In other words, you have to make a contributive responsibility, right, in order to make yourself to be trust. The point I want to make is about 400 years ago, shareholders didn't want to take those responsibilities, so therefore they created, the concept of legal person as a kind of fallacy and shifted all those responsibilities except for liability, limited liability. By limited liability means, as you know, the money that you already invested in corporation. So what I want to say is about 400 years ago, shareholders shifted all those social responsibility onto legal person, corporations. So therefore, economists and also the number of people, shareholders, cannot insist only social responsibility for corporation is to maximize the profit of shareholders. The corporation has to take social responsibility because corporation took over all those social responsibility which originally owners had to take, right? So therefore, even if it is difficult for small corporation to take social responsibility, is difficult, but as long as small corporation is a legal person, corporation has to take a social responsibility. So that is the best shot I can give now.
네, 저기 예약을 했거든요. 다음 기회를 드리겠습니다.
저는 한국어로 말씀드리겠습니다. 제가 만약 기업인이라면 이 강연을 듣고 예, 저녁에 사장님께 돌아가 보고를 할 것입니다. 사장님 큰일 났습니다. 지금 권위 있고 유명한 HR 포럼에 나오신 저명하신 분들의 강연에 의하면 우리 기업인들이 저기 게으르고 놀기 좋아하는 사람들에게 먹여주고 재워주길 간절히 원하고 있습니다. 저희는 이제 어떡할까요? 제 생각엔 사장님께서 말씀하실 것 같습니다. 그거 세금 혜택은 있냐? 사실 기업이라는 게 자산활동가처럼 기업의 이익이나 수익을 전혀 고려하지 않고 순전히 사회활동을 할 수 있는 건 아닙니다. 그렇게 따지면은 부정적인 외부 효과가 극히 적은 이 CSR을 유지하기 위해서 기업들만의 노력은 매우 힘들다고 생각하고 거기에 대한 정부의 역할도 무시할 수 없다고 생각합니다. 그리고 그렇기 때문에 직접적으로 가장 영향을 미치는 이 세금과 관련해서 CSR을 하는 기업이 기업의 경영 상태가 좋든 나쁘든 간에 CSR을 지속적으로 유지할 수 있도록 세금 혜택을 준다라고 하였을 때 여기에 대해 어떻게 생각하시는지 견해를 말씀해 주시면 감사드리겠습니다.
예. 또 한 번 설명 좀 듣고 정리할까요? 오늘 밤 새우겠네요. 왜 이렇게 손들을 많이 드십니까? 예. 이게 좀 마이크 드리세요.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Luc Soete from United Nations University in the Netherlands. It follows up from the previous question, and actually I would contradict the previous question. I view that in the first and the last presentation there is a trade-off made between profitability and CSR. My line would be that increasing evidence shows, if you look at some of the accounting studies, measuring firms by CSR and the ways they fulfill CSR criteria, for instance Accenture does this, you find that there's actually a positive correlation with profitability. In other words, that the firms in the long term who are the most profitable are precisely those who are the most advanced in CSR. But CSR in a perspective which includes fully the environmental dimensions. And that's very logic, because firms who will pick up the long-term sustainability from an environmental perspective are those which in the long term will indeed be the most profitable ones. So my point is, and the examples which Ms. Stan gave with respect, for instance, to the underwater coral reconstruction, which is a construction which allows back profitability in poor fishing families, is exactly this. That is that, as the book of Prahalad shows, which is development through profits, that precisely in areas which we have ignored in the business communities, which is this bottom of the pyramid, where to be poor is expensive, hence the profitability opportunities in order to serve the poor are basically fundamental development issues which are in line with business practices, can be in line with business practices. In other words, I would argue that maybe because you've emphasized so much the legal, ethical side, and on the other hand, the more social dimensions, you overemphasize to some extent the trade-off between, on the one hand, satisfying CSR criteria, and on the other hand, being profitable in the long term.
네. 질문이라기보다는 좋은 코멘트라고 생각하는데요. 앞서 질문하신 분하고 방금 말씀하신 분을 제가 간단히 정리하면요. 우리가 CSR이라고 할 때는 크게 세계적인 차원으로 생각을 해야 됩니다. 세 가지 차원인데 하나는 경제적인 차원입니다. 기업이라는 것은 태생 이윤을 창출하기 위해서 만들어졌기 때문에 반드시 이윤을 창출해서 오랫동안 건강한 기업으로 존재를 해야 되는 겁니다. 그것이 첫 번째의 CSR이고, 물론 거기에 고용 창출이나 기업의 이해관계자들의 이익을 보장해 주는 것도 포함이 됩니다. 그 다음에 두 번째가 법적이고 윤리적인 차원입니다. 그리고 세 번째가 오늘 많은 얘기를 하는 social contribution, 사회적 공헌을 얼마나 하느냐. 이 사회적 공헌도 이제 크게 나누면 두 가지인데요. 하나는 자선적인 차원에서 하는 것, 그리고 가장 수준 높은 것이 결국은 기업이 오랫동안 존속할 수 있도록 하기 위한 사회적 투자입니다. 그런 사회적 공헌을 하는 것이 우리가 이론적으로 얘기할 때 가장 성숙된 기업의 사회적 책임이다. 보통 이렇게 저는 학교에서 가르치고 있습니다. 아마 그렇게 본다면은 기업의 사회적 책임을 수행하는 것이 궁극적으로는 기업의 이윤 추구나 또 기업의 영리 추구하고 서로 상호 보완적인 것이지 그게 결코 어느 하나를 희생하고 어느 하나를 얻는 그런 것은 아니라고 봅니다. 또 다른 분 질문 있으십니까? 예, 저기 뒤에 계시는 분.
Have internet ethics helpline as I studied most companies in Japan and Korea. But even board of directors go against it, I believe. And what do you think of this? Isn't it a kind of wasting time and money? And do you have any particular way in your experience to make it effective? Thank you.
To be honest, as far as Japan is concerned, a couple of years ago, we enacted new law, a so-called Public Interest Disclosure Act. It's a Whistleblower Protection Act. And that law, or shall I say, lists up a number of conditions. If corporations fulfill those conditions, a whistleblower can report wrongdoing directly outside of corporations. So because of this, it's a kind of incentive in a negative sense. Because of this, corporations are trying to establish a very effective in-house reporting system. Japanese corporations are doing now. But they realize that that's not enough because in-house system is controlled, managed by corporation itself. So that's why I mentioned, now they are introducing third-party channels using independent lawyers and third-party internet providers. And I think, I don't say many corporations, but some of the corporations are doing very well regarding ethics helpline. Is that okay? So therefore, I think, I don't know whether or not Korea has already done laws, similar law, but if you don't have it, I think you had better make it.
자, 시간이 거의 다 됐기 때문에 한 분만 더 질문을 받고요. 우리 발표하신 분들 의견을 종합하도록 하겠습니다. 저기 가운데 아주 너무 손을 용감하게 크게 드셨는데.
예, 대구교육대학교 2학년의 신재식이라고 합니다. 말씀 들어보니까 CSR의 기업의 윤리적인 부분은 굉장히 강조해 주셨는데요. 기업의 윤리적인 부분에만 CSR을 맡겨두기에는 그렇게 맡겨두고 또 책임을 묻기에는 좀 한계가 있다고 생각합니다. 또한 기부같이 일회적인 CSR보다는 좀 더 좋은 프로그램을 통해서 장기적이고 효과적인 그런 CSR을 추진해 나가는 것이 바람직하다고 생각하는데요. 그와 관련해서 그런 좋은 CSR 프로그램을 추진하고 있는 회사나 실질적 사례를 알고 있는 것, 알고 계신 걸 좀 소개해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
이건 제가 대답하는 게 낫겠네요. 간단하게 하기 위해서. 저기 서 있는 기업 중에 하나가요. 연간 CSR을 위해서 공헌하는 돈 액수가 미국의 GE나 미국의 월마트보다 훨씬 크게 하고 있는 기업이 있습니다. 근데 저도 안타까운 것은 왜 우리나라에서는 세계적 탑 수준의 사회적 공헌을 하고 있음에도 불구하고 우리 국민들에게는 그렇게 인식되지 않고 있느냐 하는 게 궁금증입니다. 아마 여러 가지 이유가 있었던 것 같아요. 그 가운데 기업이 성장하는 과정에서 다소 비윤리적이었던 것, 정당하지 못했던 것, 그 이미지가 아직도 지배적이어서 현재 그렇게 훌륭한 일을 하고 있음에도 우리는 높게 인식을 안 하고 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 어느 기업이라고 제가 얘기는 할 수 없지만 정말 세계적으로 탑 수준의 사회 공헌을 우선 금액적으로도 하고 있고 아까 우리 필리핀에서 오신 펜 회장님이 말씀하셨던 그런 사회적 활동도 굉장히 많이 하고 있습니다. 사실은 우리가 그거를 외국에 나가서 자랑 삼아 오늘 이분들이 오셔서 하신 것처럼 충분히 발표를 할 수 있는 가치 있는 케이스들입니다. 그래서 실제로 많이 하고 있습니다. 제가 대답을 해서 죄송합니다. 이 두 분은 우리 실정을 잘 모를 것 같아서요. 예. 자, 그리고 이제 정리를 해야 될 것 같은데요. 주먹을 쥐고 손을 드시는 분이 있네요. 안 그러면 나중에 사회자가 맞을 것 같은데. 예, 마지막으로 아주 간단하게. 예. 마지막으로. 그리고 혹 우리 패널 중에서 마지막으로 하실 말씀 있으시면 하시고 아니면은 제가 정리하도록 하겠습니다.
저는 한국전파진흥원에 근무합니다. 탄 씨에게 잠깐 말씀 듣고 거기 좀 여쭤보겠습니다. 말씀 아까 하실 때에 성경학적 경영관이랄까 하여튼 성경 말씀을 인용하시면서 조금 얘기를 했었는데 성경학적 경영관이랄까 하여튼 그런 표현하고 또 CSR하고 이런 부분에 좀 나름대로의 말씀하실 사항이 있으면은 도움이 되지 않을까 해서 간단하게 질문드립니다.
Well, I think it's more of, when I was saying that, it's more of, even at long time ago, of course, in the Bible age, we're talking about even God has been already trying to show us or tell us how to think for others, right? CSR is a very broad topic and it's a very broad, it has a very broad meaning. It can be from the corporate level to something tangible, properties, and something something that's intangible, thinking for other people. Let's say for the gentleman out there who's talking about when he goes back to his company and talks to his boss or the HR, he would say the following and all this stuff. Well, let me just tell you, in the Philippines, what we do there's a company called Happy Toothpaste. He was outsourced by Procter & Gamble before, and he was a supplier of it. And when Procter & Gamble decided to pull out and decided to manufacture their own toothpaste, he was left with nothing, because his whole machinery, his whole warehouse, factory is not usable anymore. Now he was able to do what he did was he competed with Procter & Gamble and did a local toothpaste in the Philippines. His company started from very, very small, but his company is very well known for hiring disabled people. He is still making money even when he's hiring disabled people. He's thinking for other people. He's not contributing or he's not putting money in these poor people's pocket. But it's more of giving them that pride and confidence that yes, they did earn it. And that confidence gives a lot of people hope and inspires other people. And so, again, like my father would always tell me, you don't give people fish, you teach them how to fish. So there's a long-lasting effect on their contribution.
대단히 감사합니다. 여러분들 이렇게 CSR에 관심을 많이 보여주시고 이렇게 끝까지 토론에 참여해 주셔서 감사드립니다. 지금 멀리서 오신 우리 타카 교수님 그리고 텐 회장님, 이게 이제 우리가 시작일 것 같습니다. 그래서 제가 두 분께 하나 제안해 드리고 싶은 것은 이렇게 서울에 와서 발표한 걸로 끝나시지 마시고 우리 서울을 허브로 해서 같이 Creating Common Culture in CSR in Asia 하는 정도로 우리가 포럼을 해서 지속적으로 sustainable하게 우리가 연구하고 디스커션하는 그런 계기가 됐으면 합니다. 아마 여러분들도 그런 계기를 잘 마련하셔서 우리가 이제 시작이고 이것이 행동으로 옮겨질 수 있도록 우리 모두가 노력을 해야 되는 것이라 생각합니다. 다시 한번 세 분 감사드리고요. 끝까지 열심히 앉아서 토론해 주시고 들어주신 여러분께 감사를 드립니다. 일일이 시간을 못 드려서 죄송하고요. 나가서 다시 또 우리가 저녁 시간까지 조금 시간적인 여유가 있으니까 그때 여러분들이 개인적인 질문을 또 많이 해 주시기를 바랍니다.